I've never been so scared in my whole life. I pulled on my basketball uniform with shaking hands. My heart was pounding in my chest. I had never worn such open clothes before. I've hidden myself from everyone successfully for so long. But now the whole school was gonna know my secret. Hi, my name is Teresa, and I'm 16. For many years in a row, I've been hiding a little secret from everyone around me. Well, more precisely, a very big secret. The size of my giant hips. I've always had a complex about them. I only wore baggy clothes, and I changed when no one could see me. The whole school was preparing for the winter ball, and I was no exception. Together with my mother and my younger sister, we went to the store to pick up an elegant dress for me. I was walking between the rows for a long time when I suddenly saw that very dress. It's like it chose me by itself. Grabbing it, I ran to the fitting room. And when I put it on, I realized it was perfect. But it hugged my hips really tightly. And at that moment, it seemed to me that there was nothing terrible about it because the dress was so lovely. When my sister came up, I got even more excited because she said, "How beautiful!" And then my mother came, and she spoiled my mood. She said, "It fits terribly, don't you see? We all have huge hips in our family. They should be hidden." Oh, yeah, I guess I almost forgot to tell you. Wide hips are my family's thing. My mother also wore baggy clothes, and even my little sister, even if she was only 13, was already beginning to be embarrassed by her round shape. I tried arguing with my mother, but no dice. She just criticized me and called the dress ugly, and then left to pick up something for me on her own. I didn't want to take off the dress, so I didn't exactly hurry to the fitting room. I was trying to enjoy the last seconds near the mirror, when suddenly... Oh, is that Trevor? In the reflection of the mirror, I saw my classmate looking at me intensely. I didn't know why he was looking at me, so I got scared and I hid in the fitting room. I didn't see Trevor at all again that day. My mother had picked a dress for me that I didn't like at all, but it had a big plus. My hips couldn't be seen in it. However, even this dress couldn't spoil the anticipation before the ball. I was waiting for the dance, and I still hoped that one of the guys would be inviting me. But I still couldn't get Trevor out of my head. Was he staring at me because he liked me or something? It soon turned out that I was waiting for the dance in vain. I remember standing in a circle of friends, and all of them were so beautiful. The guys all came up and invited one or the other, and it was as if they didn't even notice I was there, as if I was nothing but an empty space. And then Trevor came over. At the sight of him, my heart jumped joyfully in my chest. But as soon as he looked at me, his face twisted in disgust. He turned around and he left. And so, no one had asked me to dance. Of course, I was very upset. I came home and I burst into tears. Graduation was in 6 months, and now I wasn't even sure I wanted to show up. No one was gonna invite me, and I didn't want to go alone, like a loser. I couldn't even grieve properly because there was an important event around the corner. A basketball game with a neighboring school, in which my best friend Kate participated. Even if I wasn't part of the team, I still prepared as if I was. I invented chants, drew posters. I really wanted to cheer Kate up because I went to every one of her training sessions and I was friends with the whole team. And on game day, they arrived at school and the girls changed into their clothes and went to warm up, but for some reason, Kate was late. 5 minutes passed, then 10, and there was less and less time left before the match. Everyone was already beginning to seriously worry when there was a call. Kate had been coming down the stairs and had twisted her leg. She wouldn't be able to play. The entire team was literally crushed because there was no reserve player in the team. And without Kate, the team wasn't going to be allowed on the court. There was an excited hum in the stands and everyone was really worried. And then one of the girls on the team came up with an idea. Let Teresa play instead of Kate. You've been to every training session. You know what to do. It's better than disqualification. Oh no, not that. I was scared just thinking about tight shorts. Naturally, I started denying it, but the girls resisted. So in the end, I couldn't refuse. I pulled on my uniform with shaking hands. I'd never been so nervous in my life. And finally, when I turned around, I realized that everyone in the locker room was looking at me with their mouths open in surprise. I didn't have time to understand what they were thinking. We just had to hurry to the court. The game started, and, to everyone's surprise, I played just fine. I always had liked basketball, so I practiced in the evenings in the backyard. I may have even tried to get into the team if I hadn't been embarrassed about the open uniform. However, at that moment, I forgot about everything in the world, even about how I looked. I'd been dreaming of playing real basketball for so long, and now my dream was finally coming true. The game turned out to be a very tense one. There was a draw in the last minutes. I remember how I was driving the ball and suddenly realized that victory depended on me. And at the same moment, all of my complexes attacked me. I suddenly remembered that I was running in shorts, and the whole school was looking at me, and they knew my secret. I looked around and I realized that everyone's eyes were focused on me. I ran and I threw the ball and missed. This meant we lost. I was the first one to return to the locker room. I thought the girls would scold me, but they flew into the locker room after me and rushed to hug me. It turns out that our opponents had been a very strong team. In secret, the girls had been very ready to lose, and I'd never thought that victory could have been so close. And, well, the most important thing was, they liked my figure. I was shyly covering myself with a towel while the girls enthusiastically discussed me among themselves. I heard one of them even compare me to Kylie Jenner. The next day, when I was sitting in class, the principal came into the classroom and invited me to come with him. I followed him down the corridor and my heart sank into my heels with fear. This had to have been about yesterday's loss, right? Well, when we entered the office, I saw a man I didn't know, and to my surprise, he turned out to be a director of a modeling agency. Mr. Martyr was the father of one of the kids at school. He said he'd noticed me at the game yesterday, and he needed girls with just my figure at the agency. I was in shock. When I came home, I thought for a long time and decided I wasn't gonna tell my mother. She would never approve of what I was gonna do, but I did decide to share it with my sister. She was completely delighted because she herself had long dreamed of becoming a model and had always been upset that nothing was going to work out for her because of how she looked. And, well, this was how my modeling career began. I went to the agency, signed a contract, and they made me up a portfolio. It was strange not to be ashamed of my own body, but everyone around me admired it and showered me with compliments, so my self-confidence grew. However, not all people understood my peculiarity. There were also some toxic people. Once, I came to the casting of a cool fashion brand and realized that I was the only curvy girl. All of the other skinny models looked at me as if I'd opened the wrong door. And just before the casting, I heard from one of the other girls. I actually know this casting director. He needs slim, not fat. She obviously hadn't said any names, but the way she was looking at me made me understand everything. I didn't belong in a place like this. I was so upset that I wanted to go home. But I remembered my little sister was waiting for me at home. She believed in me. Overcoming my anxieties, I stayed, and I passed the casting with my head held high, and I was cast. I was the only one out of hundreds of the most beautiful girls. Oh, how nice it was for me. The photo shoot turned out to be just awesome. The photos got into a fashion magazine, and banners of me were hung all over the city. But most importantly, a big banner hung right in front of the school. Absolutely everyone saw it. Mom was upset because I hadn't told her anything. And she was also terribly surprised that someone could like how our family looked. And at school, my popularity grew rapidly. Everyone wanted to be friends with me, and they asked to snap pictures. I continued to go to castings, shoot with cool photographers, and I felt more and more confident each day. So, at some point, I realized I'm not gonna hide myself under baggy clothing anymore. I'm gonna wear exactly what I wanna wear. And then, there was a call from an agency that changed everything. They offered for me to participate in a local beauty contest. Of course, I just couldn't help but agree. I was preparing and waiting, but the contest was not what I expected. Again, I was completely alone among hundreds of beautiful, thin girls. And again, they looked at me with disdain, even disgust. Under the eyes of all of the other models, my confidence was melting. And it didn't matter what else I'd achieved. I walked behind the curtain. I didn't know if it was really worth participating in this at all. Maybe it was just better to go home. Why had I come here in the first place? I remember going back to put my clothes on and reaching for my high-heeled shoes before going on stage. And I saw broken glass inside. Jeez! It seemed like these girls were not gonna stop at anything just so they could win. After this, I couldn't continue. Tears blurred my eyes as I packed my bags and I walked to the exit. I had almost left, but at the literal last moment, a miracle happened. At the entrance to the building, I ran into my mother and sister, who had came to support me. And you won't believe what they were both wearing. Tight jeans. My sister had always been okay with it, but my mom, She had always been uncomfortable all her life with her body and had worn baggy clothes to hide her hips. I can't even imagine what it had cost her to overcome herself. Looking at my proud mother and at my little sister, who was looking at me with adoration, I realized that I couldn't let them down. Despite my fear and my doubts, I returned back to the contest, and I went on stage, and I took the crown. And I realized that thanks to me, everyone in my family became a little more confident. Even my mother, who was the one who instilled her complexes onto us. And also, that nothing was impossible. Prom was also coming up. With the money that I'd earned, I was able to buy the dress that I'd loved so much 6 months ago, and I looked amazing in it. It was kind of funny to remember how worried I was that no one would invite me to the ball, because invitations were now pouring in from all sides. Even Trevor showed up. Only, I never gave my consent to any of them. They didn't like me in my baggy clothes, so they didn't deserve me when I started looking awesome. And prom was the best evening of my life. My friends and I had a great time. At the very end, I was even chosen as the queen of the school, and it became clear that all of the doors that had once been closed in front of me were now open. I helped my sister to get a job in modeling too, just like she'd dreamed of, and I started my own blog to help girls like me gain self-confidence. Now, well, I think I'm ready to share the lesson that I learned. You never have to be afraid of anything. Take advantage of any opportunity that life throws you. And also, never listen to anyone else about how you look. And don't hesitate, because every person is beautiful in their own way.